and welcome. You are listening to the Still Standing podcast, hosted by Daniela Galdi, the founder of Still Standing Together, a support and empowerment organization that helps you get back on your feet. The Still Standing podcast offers you interviews, guidance, and solutions through everyday struggles and mental health improvement. Welcome back, everybody. We have made it. We are still standing into 2021. Welcome and hello and happy new year. Hopefully it's been a happy one, even just with these past few days, and everyone's been safe and healthy. I am so excited because I have two guests with us today, Nicole and Alia from Luxe Soulhood, and they are going to share so much about us with growing in our spiritual wellness and also how you can use it to help guide you. And so I just want to start, one, thank you. Two, what is like something for the new year, for this 2021 that you are just so excited about?
We are so happy to be here. Thank you. We are happy to kick off the new year with you guys and drop some amazing nuggets from the universe and from our souls to your souls. And Nicole and I were just having some convos about this. So I'm going to let her share it because 2021 is the take it away, girl.
Well, which part? So first of all, we are going into, and hi everyone. Thank you so much, Daniela, for inviting us to be on here. This is our first ever podcast together. And so for this year, all right, so which part? We're going into the era of Aquarius and the era of age signs. And so that's a huge shift that, the spiritual community, they've been talking about for a long time, like, oh, in the age of Aquarius, everyone's going to be a lot more, like enlightened and woke. And like, it's going to be going more mainstream spirituality because it's meant to, because the old ways were no longer working for us. So I'm excited for these huge energy shifts that are coming on, and they are actually very positive. I'm excited for, we have a retreat. We've got a heart opening workshop that has gotten amazing breakthroughs, and we have new moon spiritual kits to go with the new moon and alignment. So I'm super excited about that because it's amazing how 2020 has transformed everyone's lives, and like the direction that it has taken us and taken Luxe is magical and incredible. And it's so fun because I love using spiritual wellness to help people. It's the best.
I agree. I remember learning about Luxe, and then just to see its growth with the two of you, and then the community is like a beautiful thing. And I've attended your groups, your new moon events that are monthly, and I want to attend more, and I love them. And I had mentioned before to Alia a few weeks ago, I was a little nervous about delving back into my spirituality. That was a really great way for me to stop being afraid of what, I felt I needed, but was afraid to go there into the next level of it. And so that was really a great comforting place for me to find that. So thank you both, because you've created that. With Still Standing Together, we always talk about community and coming together. And I want to know, how did you two come together and start Luxe and start your Soulhood?
I love this. I love our story because we were actually the night that this was born. Our anniversary of our first event is only a few days from this. So January 9th. And that's when, this was pre-COVID, when it was all, so we were in person, and it was the very first magical Soulhood meetup. And so the beautiful, beautiful thing is that, we were sitting together. We went to Target actually, and we bought these just to have fun. She had come down here and we met through This Is It Network, which is an amazing network. Sheldon Bartlett Rumor is the woman who brought us together, really. We met one night, it was kismet. We started talking about the moon and the universe, and we were just in love with each other. So very soul kindred spirits. And then we were hanging out one night, go to Target, and we find these stupid Olaf pajamas, and they're fuzzy and like just so delicious. And so we bought the Olaf pajamas, and we were literally sitting on my couch at my house in Olaf pajamas. And we're like, we want to come together. We want to grow a community that knows the power of the moon and how to work with it and how to use the energy and how to manifest with it and how to just be so grounded in your soul and love who you are and own your power. Just all these things of like strength and unity. And so then it was born that night, right?
Yeah. And so I, at the time had a spa, Primp and Play in Morristown, New Jersey. And so, and I'm a healer, I'm a theta healer, I'm a Reiki master teacher, all these things. And I've been doing that for years. And so the part of the spa, which is with Tara Murphy, who's the creator of the franchise, and who also was with This Is It Network, doing videos too. So it was all through that we came together, and I wanted to do, because it's very family based and kids, like spa theme parties for little kids. They're beautiful birthday parties. But for me, my thing was like, how do I also create a spiritual community here? You know, because it's so needed for that. And so when we met, it was like amazing. Like, let's do a New Year's glow up and we'll do spa services. So everyone got like a surprise, like either a facial, a foot mask, a hand mask. Like, it was so cute. But we ended up putting it together, and it was so successful. We lit sky lanterns in the sky, and like everybody loved it. So we're like, this needs to be a thing. This needs to be a thing. And so we were meeting in person at my spa, and then we're gonna work on going to other businesses because we lived like an hour away from each other almost. And so then COVID happened, we brought it online, and it's just amazing that it has actually still continued to grow online. Unfortunately, the location has not been able to grow because of COVID. So this has been like the one thing that has been like just the gift out of it all, you know, and then now our retreats and our workshops and our, you know, moon boxes. It's been like a beautiful lining within this crazy year.
Yes. I mean, if you guys listening are interested or in getting more spiritual wellness or being introduced to it, that's what this is. This is the crystals. This is the journaling. This is the mantras, the meditations, the visualizations, listening to your inner soul. So it, like even Nicole said, it's been this magical organic growth. You know, it's just turned into one thing. We're like, we need a retreat. And so easily the universe was like, yes, you do. And it was, we had a retreat at the Jersey Shore, and it was just vision boards and Reiki certifications. Even Nicole had certified 3 women in Reiki 1 certification. It's really powerful. And that alone in itself, like your Reiki attunement, when you get attuned to a Reiki 1 level certificate, your chakras are like glowing, beaming. You're like, I am aligned as fuck. Like, it's just magical. So everything that we want to share through the Soulhood is about, it's just magic. It's very, very magical. And if you feel at all lost or like something in your life is missing, this is a great piece to add to your lifestyle. Just meeting with the Soulhood, give it a try. Like you said, the virtual meetups are so easy. You just hop on at home. It's like a
and the thing is too, once you know, because every moon is different, like every 3 days, the moon changes into a different sign. And then depending on if Jupiter, what they're all doing and how it affects you and alignment. And when you start to learn these things and you start to come to them and you manifest and you use what you can, what this new moon's intended for. and you realize like, okay, you don't beat yourself up. Cause I used to, before I knew about this stuff, I'd beat myself up like, why isn't this happening right now? You know, like, what's wrong with me? Is it my karma? Like, and then you learn and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And when everyone is feeling the same way, and you just start to notice, and then you see the changes, and we do certain healings, and in each one it's always different. And then the tarot reading for during the current time, and you realize you really grow faster because because what happens externally happens internally first. And so when you change and shift your inside world, it has to match. It's science, it's quantum physics, it's, it has to be that way. And so when you start to learn this and use these tools and apply them with every single moon cycle, you go with the flow so much better, so much faster than like not realizing like, no, it is not the right time to start that business. It is not the right time. Like, oh my God, like Venus is in retrograde, that you better not get married that day. You know what I mean? Like when you know these things, it's just so easy. It's so much easier, and you don't beat yourself up because you're like, okay, I get it.
Well, that's a biggie that I want to point out, that both of you had such great points that I want our listeners to definitely pay attention to. One is when you get into growing with this spiritual guidance, one, you both made so many good break points. One, within what Ava, you and Alia create is the tools for people, right? Because it's so much more than just the moon or just a chakra or just a crystal. It's making them all work together with you and for you. And so I love that there's a place for beginners to go there with you. And from there, they're able to have these self-realizations, not be hard on themselves about it, learn to go with the flow, have the clarity, have the awareness, just a deeper awareness. I know two things that I have gotten from a lot of people in our community and just in my circle is, one, how do I even get started? And two, they're a little bit intimidated by the word spirituality. Let's have you start off with, spirituality and take away that intimidation factor and give us a breakdown as to how you would explain that. And then Alia, after that, if you would go into how to get started, like how did you get started? So Ava, I'll let you take the floor first.
Perfect. I love these questions, and I love the people that you chose for that, because I think that Alia would be a lot better with the like she's so good with explaining things, and that's the mom in her, right? So you can be religious and be spiritual. So I think a lot of the time people are like, oh, but like I'm Christian, I believe in Jesus. They believe that it's something like, black magic or witchcraft or something like that. It is not. It's working with the elements that the creator, and I work with the creator directly. And so in all of my healing, so the energy that creates worlds, there's only one energy that created everything. And so spirituality is acknowledging that there is something beyond us, that there's that energy, there's a force that's in all of us. Literally, we're not apart from it. And I think that the main difference between religion and spirituality is that spirituality is just what you are. It's from within. It's not having to going through a specific third person to get to the creator. It's not having guidelines or it's just in you. It just is. So working with like spiritual wellness or things like that, it's like, for example, candles, using the certain colors for intentions for certain things. I don't really call it like candle magic. A lot of people do, but it's really intentions. When you go to the Catholic Church and you light a white candle with an intention of someone, it's really no different than that. And also elements like Salt is very cleansing for multiple purposes, and that is a proven thing. If you use salt like externally, it'll heal certain parts of your body. Well, the same thing, if you take a bath with salt and certain herbs, those herbs and all of those will cleanse your aura field. They will clear blockages and certain things. So it's like, if you think about this, we are all on skeletons on a rock that is floating in the universe. That's weird. You know what I mean? With a thing called gravity pulling us together. So it's just the spirituality and being spiritual. I think it's just being so much more connected from within than something externally. Like meditating and connecting from within, because I feel like, there's a reason why, if you want to bring up the Bible, it talks about your body as a temple. It's much beyond like, oh, take care of it. It's because it literally is. Through connecting, you can feel, and the more aligned that you are with the light that you are, because we all are the light of the Creator all within us. And the more you realize, like, things happen so much easier for you, and you just get so in tune with your intuition, because we all have an internal guidance system. And the more aligned you are with that, you don't make bad decisions because you feel it. You feel that little quiet voice, that is God. That little quiet voice of your intuition, that is God aligning you with your soul purpose, your soul path that we all have. And so that, to me, is just, for me, spirituality is so much more internal. I was raised very religious, and I went to church 3 times a week, and going in there, I just felt like it's nice. It's a great thing to do. And it's what taught me to have that connection with the Creator. But when I found meditation and when I found these things is when I really felt whole and complete on the inside in a way that I can't really explain. It really has to be experienced, I would say.
Wow, that is a great explanation of that. I have never heard it explained like that. Thank you. My goodness.
You're welcome.
And I'm glad that you mentioned about yourself with going to church, because I grew up Catholic and went to church as well. And I say went because I never found a church that I felt connected to, even at a young age. And I thought, it's just me being a little bit rebellious. But really, I think that it came down to me being so self-aware from things I would do at, like, dance made me very self-aware of my body, my mind. And I never felt connected to my spirituality because I did always relate it to religion. And then, here I was going to a place and listening to a person that I didn't feel connected to. So I'm glad that you put it out there as a much broader explanation of, it comes down to you. Your spirituality is you. So Alia, tell us now about how to get started. How did you get started?
Yes. I love how Ava Nicole started off too, because I just piggyback on what she said, that you can be religious and spiritual. And that's something that can be a bit confusing. And then I also, before I just mentioned the startup of all of it, was I remember my sister recently saying, who doesn't know too much about the lingo, so like, she's like, this is a lot. Like, what do you mean the universe and the light and the this? And that's where we love expanding knowledge for all of you that are interested in learning what the light, like how simple it is just to imagine a white light is, coming down through the crown of your head. And let's say you're feeling anxious in the moment, and you actually energetically are imagining this Creator, this white light coming through your body and cleansing the anxiety, pushing it down out of your body. So it's about, spirituality helps so much. And once I got a little taste of it myself, I realized I needed more. And that's what I think most people who are into it and grab a hold of a little taste of it, then you start realizing this is, like Ava Nicole said, this is the wholeness. This is complete. This is what I was missing. And also I felt called to share that spirituality can simply be a walk in nature. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you're meditating. So especially in the beginning of your journey of spirituality, you can ease into it with everyone's very different on how they sink into a meditative state. So we love to help introduce you guys to the different options there are to tap into your soul's spirituality? What are you called to bring you to this beautiful place of being grounded and clear in your mind, not this chaos, this fog, the anxiety that so many of us walk around with. Like, we want you guys, because when that vibration's removed from your energy, then the answers show up. The good stuff starts to flow more to you into your life. And it's definitely a greater awareness to your day-to-day living. And then for me, my spirituality started because I hit a very bad postpartum depression, and I completely lost my soul. I lost my mind, my body. I didn't know who I was. And here I felt I was supposed to be in this beautiful state of mind with these beautiful babies. And I just was definitely needing all that I could grab a hold of. And so it was just the slow introduction of seeing things on social media and just being called to knowing that, first it started with my birth chart. So if those out there have any interest in knowing, you might hear people say, what's my moon sign? What's my this sign? And then doing more yoga was the other thing, because yoga is very spiritual. It's very, once you get on your mat and you really sink in, and yoga releases energy. It's about energy. It's all about energy and knowing what to do with it, how to handle your energy, how to know what other people's energy could, do to you, or yes. So that spirituality, it was really the birth chart, the yoga, and then it just kept flowing from there. I wanted to get into Reiki. I then got Reiki certified myself, and all these little steps taught me the kind of meditation that worked for me as a person. And then the journaling was is a very meditative practice that helped take my spirituality to the next level. There are apps out there that we could introduce you to. I mean, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming at first, but that's how it starts. It's just with a little interest. And then you decide to either join an event or ask a few questions or follow the Soulhood and just read what we have to share in our posts. It's subscribe to the emails. We send the Soulhood an email every new moon.
The emails are amazing.
Yes, I love them. I get them as well. And I always read them because I also always feel like it, and this has to do, I would assume, with all of us being so connected. And by all of us, I don't just mean the three of us. I mean, everyone out there, all of us connected. It always relates to what's happening in my life. And so I do also, I appreciate you both sharing about, your background with religion and your background with postpartum. And I want to just add to that I feel, and this took me a very long time for myself to kind of step away from these very common feelings like anxiety or fear or frustration or anger, these very common depression, sadness, and look at it in the perspective that you mentioned, Alia, of energy. And one thing I specifically remember is somebody said to me, years back, your energy with your anxiety can go different ways, and it can be turned into excitement. It doesn't need to be this negative emotion that you feel. Your anxiety can be looked at as excitement. And so that has always stuck with me. And then also, to add to what you both said, including that, I'm like a big long run-on sentence, but it's so interesting to me that we get these interests, right? And we're like, something's got to give, like I need the help. And for me, it started with quotes. Like when I feel myself going down into a place where I just totally feel disconnected, just reading a quote on Instagram, on Pinterest, your quotes that you share on Luna Lux and your personal pages, things like that. That's where social media really comes in handy, because I'll go and look at the quotes, and that kind of puts me in a better mindset. And then it's interesting how the cycle happens to where we realize we need help. We go to reach for others for support, as you guys offer in Luna Lux and in your individual services and practices, and just yourselves in general, just knowing you both. And then it brings it back to us. So it's like reaching out that hand to then get closer to yourself. And once you get closer to yourself, what I found that I want to point out to the listeners, and you too, please chime in after this, but that gut feeling, but listening to those nudges. So I remember before I started therapy, which I still do, talk therapy, the spirituality piece, as I mentioned, from dance was a bit more familiar to me because we always were working on our self-awareness, on our mindfulness, things like that. And what happened was I was teaching a client and they nudged me to go meet who is now a very good friend who is it spiritual intuitive, is a medium, an angel intuitive. I feel like everybody who has these special gifts that we all have, but you two are able to share with us, I got that nudge to go talk with her. And that was such a foundation for my everything growth, So do you feel like there were any nudges that really help you? Or, do you have any suggestions as to how we can pay attention to those nudges?
Mine's kind of a weird, long story, so I'm not really going to get into it. I actually have an ebook that I'm coming out with called Spiritual Wellness, How to Magically Create Your Life. And so it talks about how that journey for me, how that developed. My dad was very into energy. And I love how Alia put it, energy, because it really, scientifically, it's energy. In the spirit world, we call it spiritual and our spirits, but it's really just energy is really what it is, and tapping into that energy. But so I had a tug of war. Like my awakening was a series of really odd events. And also like my grandma was did Reiki. And so like I came from this lineage of that stuff. My dad's side of the family, they didn't necessarily work with like light energy. My dad was a mix, my grandmother was not. And so for me, there was always a thing going on around me. There was a lot of stuff that I had to figure out how to make things stop, weird things stop and stuff like that. So yes, I was raised religious. However, I was also raised with knowing that there was something more going on because there was weird stuff always going on around me. And so I was on a quest to clear this, to get rid of what it was. And that's how my spirituality happened. I don't know that it was necessarily a choice because I fought it for a long time because I'm like, no, I believe in Jesus, it's satanic. I was actually raised a Jehovah's Witness, which is like intense. I couldn't have friends who were not witnesses. I couldn't have blue nail polish. I couldn't have, like if you're dating someone, you're literally courting, you have to have a chaperone. You cannot be alone. So I came from that. And so for me to be into this, I had to see really odd things and a series of events where, and I was very nudged because I like that in me was like, no, there's like, something is going on. There's something beyond just what you're taught. There's something beyond just sitting there and, going to church and reading there's more, there's so much more. I could feel it, but I fought it for so long because I wouldn't even open my mind because I was taught that it's bad, or you're taught that. But however, on the other side, my family was always into, spiritual stuff, which is I think why they went so hardcore on the religious side to reverse the energy that they had been working with. And I had a lot of karmic debt that I had to pay for my family. The nudge is really weird situations that had pushed me to meeting people. Like I would mention something like doing ayahuasca, and then the next day I'm at this thing and someone's like, oh, there's an ayahuasca retreat. I'm like, what? Like there's been a series of things like that were just like, I can't fake. Like if I could write down all of the events, it would just be interesting all on its own. So there's been an external force almost like pulling me and then like forcing me in, because there's also been a lot of traumatic things that had I not seen them, I would have never been open to this at all.
I keep picturing like a path in front of you and like little presents dropping in your path.
Yeah, presents or weird, sometimes disasters that ended up putting me in a different place for a reason, like a house burning down because I was meant to, like just odd things. Yeah.
Alia, do you want to speak on that?
It's interesting how simple it can be. And I very much like to try to remind everyone to like simplify if you can. And quite simply, if you're interested, well, first, before I share that, what comes to mind is a lot of times, like what Eve Nicole was saying, it's a traumatic experience. If you have experienced any kind of trauma, that can lead to you being awoke, or, that's a term that people like to use. I'm woke to spirituality. And that's like, I think about old Alia, who didn't know about all of these different modalities I could tap into and really work with energy. I had this like traumatic toxic energy that was just constantly in my system, and I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't doing anything with it. I wasn't journaling. I wasn't, even it, believe it or not, just a workout, going out for a run or lifting some weights is you can mentally think about, I'm removing this energy. There's so many ways. So, what I was going to say is, if you've experienced a trauma, and you're feeling kind of stuck and you don't know how to move out of it, or really find, if you're like, why did this happen? Why is this happening to me? Why? Try to learn the spiritual route. And by wanting a nudge and knowing how it's going to show up to you, say out loud, like a crazy person, I drive and I talk to my angels and my spirit guides. And I was outside in the backyard watching a meteor shower, laying in the ground at midnight by myself last night, talking to the sky out loud. Like, it sounds so crazy, but it's so peaceful. And I knew when I was laying on the grass, the grass and the earth was like grounding me. And there's so much beautifulness to you learning about spirituality. So what I'm going to suggest is you simply asking out loud and say, okay, this is different for me, but universe and angels, can you give me a sign? What should I do, to grow my spirituality? What can I do? A question I ask myself almost daily is, universe, angels, what do I need to know today? I'm very open, keeping your third eye chakra in between your eyebrows. Keep yourself open, trying to, and distant Reiki, by the way, if you feel your chakras are not in alignment, that is a thing. Distant Reiki through the phone, through the computer, that is powerful. If you feel like you, aren't really sure how to start, just ask for it. Just simply ask. And then you might find that, you see a post and it's like, join this event, and come to our event though. Our events are the best. We're fun. And on meditations, even the meditations are amazing. I never miss her meditations, ever. Yeah. And all of it, the breath work, the last new moon event we did, the breath work was insane. We did breath of fire, and then we did, what were the other two? And this is the fun thing. You come to these events and you learn these different things.
We do all kinds of different stuff every time. And I don't even always know what meditation I'm going to do. I know the theme of it, but it's like when I'm in there, I channel it. Like, I didn't know I was going to do a beam with the third eye and show you what you want to know or whatever, but it just happens. And it's just like channeling, knowing what people need, or intuitively what you guys all need at that time. So it's not something you can really write down. It has to be organic. And also, if you ask have a challenge, if you're not a believer, now talk to your angels like Alia has suggested, because people will show up. Like if you're open-minded, certain people like, oh, I need help, I want help. You can reach out to either of us, or also just organically see if people like magically start popping up, because they do. God, spirit, universe, whatever your name for it is, has always worked through people. There was always prophets. There's always someone who did, that's how like we connect through. So if someone randomly walking by, or like you hear a conversation that like happens to go with something you need to know, sometimes it happens as simple as that. Or you turn a radio station and it's like AM and they're talking about something that you literally like, it could be that simple. It could be as simple as like, so I have a challenge though. Like, if you're not yet a believer, choose a 3-digit number and say, okay, show me 777 or 333. If you're listening, whatever that is, that number is to you, a 4-digit, it could be 2222, whatever, and ask to see that, and then be open. Pay attention to license plates, pay attention to receipts, pay attention at the times people text you, the times you get emails, notifications, pay attention to that, because if you are open, the universe will talk to you.
I'm so glad that you both mentioned this because I see numbers all the time. And I got to a point where I was like, when I was in a really rough place and believed that I was hopeless and believed nothing would help me, I would still see these numbers, but I would blow them off like, whatever, it's just because I'm working from home and I look at the clock every hour. I would like give them an excuse. And once I allowed myself to stop making those excuses, and as Alia said, and you both mentioned, like a disastrous place, unfortunately, and that's my goal for everyone through these podcasts and through everything that we all put out there. I'm sure this is also, I can assume, your intentions or part of them, is to help you before you get to that disastrous place. And if by chance those disastrous things are unexpectedly happening to you, you have the tools to help yourself and to manage and cope and heal. And so when I allowed it to happen, that instant relief that I now feel when I look over, and it happened, a little earlier, there was a lot going on this morning for me, and I looked at my phone just to see what popped up, and it happened to be, I looked at the time, it was 11:11, and I was like, I just felt instant relief. And it's being open. That is the key to it. And I've been there before where I've made every single excuse. I've probably shared with both of you every single excuse. But once you do see that there is a lot of comfort and a lot of clarity throughout the work that both of you put out there, and throughout this guidance through spirituality and all these elements, it just feels so good. And I have to mention this too, Ava, because you mentioned about the song. There was a period last year when I was in a very deep depression again, and I was coming out of therapy, and I was not scheduling my therapy sessions at the same time each week. We were just, I have a flexible schedule. So I said, put me in whenever, it doesn't matter. Every time I got in the car, I was hearing the song, Everything's Gonna Be All Right. I don't know who sings it. I forget now. It's a country song. And when I tell you, for like weeks on end, I would get in the car at different times, and that came, and I was finally like, okay, I'm okay. I have people watch, I have angels, I have, watching over me. Like, that is my sign that like I am going to be okay. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I love the challenge. Everyone has to look for these things.
Or a fun thing, I'll give you an Alia challenge. Alia challenge is play shuffle on your music and be like, what do I need to know right now? Alia always does this. There's so many cool ways to connect with energy, because everything's energy. We are energy. It's literally, if we die, we're 3 ounces lighter. Why? Something leaves. Where does it go? What is it? It can't die. It's energy, So it's just, that's what it is,
I am going to ask you, Alia, if you can share with us briefly, because we are coming to an end, sadly, but we're going to have you both back again for another episode. If you can share with us, since we are talking about guidance and we've just experienced 2020 and we've now transitioned into a new year, you both experience and share with us about new moons and different, all types of transitions that actually do occur within our lives, more than just a new year. What is your go-to? I know this is a hard question. I'm going to ask you too, Ava, so think about it. What, though, is your main go-to to help you get back to feeling whole?
I love this. It's such a good question. Oh, and I have to point out, because it's different for everybody, right? But for me, my number one go-to is my journal. So that truly is where I connect the dots. And I like, the last new moon was a solar eclipse, which was in December. And I connected the dots in my journal to the last solar eclipse, which was June 21st, which was the summer solstice. And I look back at my journal and I saw these intentions I set then. And it's just like that inner knowing that, and it was this progression from June to December. And I saw what was manifesting, what wasn't. It's like this greater knowledge on the energy and what's going on around you and how you felt then and how you feel now. And the journal for me, for sure, by far. And I track my mantras, I track my affirmations, a lot of my spirituality. It falls right in the writing that pencil to paper. It's magical.
I don't journal that much. I do have a few journals, and one is for my current affirmations, and I started write down things that I manifest. And then I have another journal that's my spiritual journal of like, okay, like I've been trying to keep track, but I'm not so much a big journal because I had a few bad experiences when I was younger with people like reading them and, you know, hurting them. And so I'm really cautious on that. And so, but I will write certain things and things that I know a little bit. So for me, what brings me like centered and clears me out is like meditation. I'm such a huge meditator, but there's so many different kinds, because for some people, if they sit down and they're like have massive anxiety, those words are just going to get louder and louder in their head. So it's not always for everyone, but there's different types. So like a few my like tools that I use right now, like I love breath work and I love chants. Like I typically on a daily basis will chant 7 minutes of or more, or 10, or if I feel like my heart chakra needs more love that day, or my solar plexus. But like every single day I do at least 7 to 10 like or mainly like and then I'll throw in another whatever I feel. Also breath work is a huge thing, daily breath of fire, or different types of breath work. That is like a really big thing for me, is meditation, and also tapping. I tap really often. I love it. There's an app tapping solution. There's also amazing people on YouTube. And so I love tapping if I'm feeling like, like I need to shake this energy, or like I'm not motivated, like, no, I need to get work done. I'll do like a tapping on motivation. I'll do a tapping on confidence. I'll do a tapping on different stuff. So there's so many different tools, and it's daily work. It's like daily work.
Every single day I wake up and write an intention. I wasn't always like that. Like even Nicole saying, that's what we try to remind the soulhood. And one way to be super, intentional and consistent is just twice a month with the moon, because there's a certain energy that comes down, and the moon really ties into your spirituality. It's a big part. Your moon is your internal, like it's internal soul. You know, it's so much has happened in our lives, and even karmic past lives. There's darkness there, and so the moon can offer this bright light to clear the darkness and like figure it out. And like,
but also I just want to chime in real quick, because there is darkness. However, sometimes it's not even necessarily from your soul or a past life. Your genetics, like my genetics with like what what I was born into, although maybe our soul chose that because it matched the karma of your soul too. So maybe it is that, but also don't beat yourself up, Alia, either, because it's also like in our DNA, these things, you know what I mean? Like if you adopt a child and the child has these personality things, and they were raised in perfect parents because it's in the DNA, it's in our DNA literally. So it's not even our fault sometimes, and people just don't know.
It's so interesting because I remember a few years ago, I learned more about my past life. I found out that I was like, I just like the struggle, like that's how Still Standing came about. Like the struggle is real. I need some help on this. So the struggle was always there. And I was on this mission to just work past this, constantly feeling like every area of my life was a struggle. And literally I had my past life told to me that I was a woman in my past life. And I was this is what it was. I was a housewife who was struggle was the key thing. It was like housewife struggle. I was a young boy struggle. Like everything had like, you are in this, it's literally in your past life. Struggle is in your past life, and it's up to you to break that cycle. And I feel like I've been on a mission ever since then, because I do not feel like that is where I come from. That does not feel, connected to who I am. So I am so glad you both shared that. So there's a plethora of ways that we can have guidance through our spirituality, so many things, so many elements, and everyone is able to learn this, thankfully, through both of you, who just have such a great connection and balance with each other. It's amazing. And it's so comforting to be able to speak with both of you. So thank you. And I want you two to both share how our listeners can connect with Luna Luxe and the Soulhood and join. And then also individually, please let them know how to connect with both of you, and how to learn about Alia, your 2-word story, and how Ava to learn about, your tarot readings. And I know you both do so much more. So please share.
Well, you guys can follow Luxe Soulhood on Instagram. You can join our Facebook group and check out our website, thesoulhood.com. You can check out one of our events. You can bring a friend to our events too. They're typically 22, and you can bring a friend either with you or virtually. So many good ways to connect. My Instagram is Theta Soul Doctor. And yeah, I think that's that. And I have a website, thetasouldoctor.com too.
It's so funny because like the number one way people connect nowadays is just go to my Instagram page, you know, or come to our Facebook group. We all share within that community. So yes, and so the next event is actually January 12th. So we would love to see you guys there. Even if you just shoot us a message and want to come try it out for 10 minutes. Like, we're just so chill. We want the soulhood to grow and for you guys to find this nourishment from this, like at least once a month meeting virtually with the new moon. There's so much nourishment you give yourself, which is that one date with the moon, just one date. And it really starts to open up your spirituality so incredibly much. And then you guys can find me at 2 Word Story on Instagram. So that's mantra, 2 words. That's all it is. It's a whole thing.
It's great. Follow them both. And if you need any of this information, I do have it on our description for this episode, as well as at our Instagram and Facebook at Still Standing Together, which I know everybody is going to love working with you too. So if you could just share with us, you know, in traditional podcasts, Still Standing podcast form, we like to end with a affirmation, something to leave our listeners so that they can continue on with 2021 still standing strong and together. So Ava, you go first, and Alia, unless you two want to do it.
I'm gonna let her go first.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys all think on. I'll give a 2 Word Story mantra, but we do have a mantra, an affirmation, a phrase together, the Luxe Soulhood, which we'll part with that. But love song. So the 2 Word Story, I want you guys to just think on and let your soul sink into it. If 2021 could be a love song, how is your love song? How does it sound? What is included in this song? Like, imagine your energy flowing with it. Is it a softer tune? Is it more fast, upbeat? And as you move through and you could put this song on paper, you know, does it include love, relationship? Does it include strength in your career? Like, what does this love song sound like? Love songs are filled with ups and downs. So this love song is this theme to like accepting the ups and downs. And like, if something doesn't feel like it belongs in your love song, then get rid of it. Don't put it in your love song. So that's very much this, just the 2 words of love song is like, just let your soul sing and let the love song come through so that you feel whole and complete and good. And Ava Nicole will go next, and then we'll part with our combo.
Yes, so we'll part with our combo together. We'll have to do it on 3. So for me, what I want you to leave you guys with for the new year, for 2021, is I'm just going to say a brief little story about myself. So like, I found spirituality because I went through hell. I literally went through a lot. Like, I had a kid when I was 16. I dropped out of high school. I'm just right now getting my GED. I still went to beauty school. I still had 3 businesses. My dad died. My stepdad committed suicide. The point of this is I've never, ever told myself I can't. Never. I've always said I can do anything. I'm going to do it. And so even when I have had setbacks, house burning down, like crazy things with like who knows what, because I've been through all of it, literally, I never stopped. And don't ever, and just know that your source of abundance, it's like connect with the energy of creation, and that will always be your source of abundance. Forget about living in fear. Forget about, you're seeing all this, lack mindset on the news and all this fear because that's what they want. Just have the faith that your source and your abundance comes from source, and it will. And don't ever say I can't. Always say I can do anything. I can do anything. How am I going to make this happen? How am I going to make this happen? And your subconscious mind will figure out ways, and your angels and your guides and everything. Like, always say I can do anything. That's that. And may the source be with you.
Source is universe. May the source, the universe, always be with your soul, and let it stay lifted. And as motivated, positive as it can be. We love you guys. We love Daniela still standing. We love.
Yes, thank you. It's been an honor.